Good afternoon. This is Dr. Bill White again, and I'm going to talk to you this afternoon a little bit about follicular pressure, a little known or I feel like understood force in tooth movement. And I'm going to try to show how this force is used in a serial extraction procedure that we do here. And we did this years ago, but it's just as up to date today as it ever was, and using this, and it should be something that people who work on children or young folks really need to understand. And I think this is something that the pediatric dentists really should be prepared to do. And this is a really interesting case. So if you'll bear with me, we'll try to get into this as soon as we can. This young lady is a little flat-faced to actually do a serial extraction, but she has the other requirements. She's a nose breather. She doesn't. She's not a tongue thruster for sure, and she has pretty normal functions and everything, and so it works out quite well in her particular case. And she looks a lot like her mother. I'm going to go through just looking at her from different angles from the anterior part. And this is really after we had done this procedure. But I'm going to start out kind of early with her, where we were trying to get her lower anterior teeth in the mouth straight. The two centrals came in good, but the two laterals were crowded out, really crowded out. So we reduced the cuspids and did pulpotomies on both of them. And in trying to get the laterals to come in straight, and that worked out fine. We were able to get the laterals to come in and straighten up pretty well with the teeth. And the forces of the mouth were good, and they pushed these teeth right into place, and the lip structure was tight and held it in place. And that part worked out real well. But when they got around to having enough room and her cuspid teeth started coming in, they were up on top of her permanent laterals. And that's a pretty bad situation. We'll show that on her x-rays here a little. Now she had a defect in this central tooth right here that caused it to have a spot. And I think this was some fever or something that she had when she was quite young. Anyway, there was a defect in the upper left central, and that had to be filled several times, I think, during her growing up years. Now, once these teeth straighten out, by just giving them that additional room, they come in here. Now we cut these cuspids out. You see, kind of hollow them out. They came up and would bump the enamel. We had to hollow that out to get the two laterals to line up. This tooth has a little deformity too, right in that area. So it's not an ideal situation there. Okay. Looking at it from the other side, this is 471 now. And this is a good many years ago. And if you look at this and say, well, this is old-timey stuff, but this is just as up to date as anything you can do. And still, this follicular pressure is not, I don't think, fully understood at all in directing and helping you direct teeth into the mouth. So anyway, This is 1971. That's several years ago. Some of you weren't even born back then. Anyway, these two teeth are straightening up pretty good, but not ideal. The two laterals there. Now, this is 3 of 73. We weren't in any rush to do this. This was our pastor's daughter there, and they were pretty hard pressed for finances, and I did this for just, as far as I remember, just did it gratis, and so we wanted to do it good. But look how well this lined up here. Now, I've not touched them with any kind of orthodontic appliance at all. This is the result of the lip structure out here and the tongue pushing on those teeth from behind, line those teeth up like that. Now, this diastema is closed down to some extent, and their upper laterals are coming in pretty good. Now, the upper deciduous cuspids are just literally gone, really. I don't remember doing any work on them at all, but over this few years have taken place, gone by here, and they probably were just lost, and the laterals came in beside and kind of pushed the centrals together a little bit, and the cuspids would push them together even more. Now, these teeth took every bit of space that we had prepared for them in there. And now we've got a second deciduous molar, first deciduous molar, and a little piece of a cuspid. And this proves to not be sufficient room, and these cuspids are coming, the upper cuspids are coming in on top of the laterals up here, and then that's a serious problem. And on the other side, it's lined up real good right in here, no problem in that area, and we got the upper cuspids are coming in right up at the top of that. Let's look up again. The laterals up above are up pretty tight, close. It closes in on that. It's kind of halfway closed, that diastema, but we'll have to look at the x-ray to see what has happened to these upper cuspids now that came in up above this. Now on the bottom, the lower is lined up fairly good, but we still don't have room enough for the cuspid in the first bite, the second bite to come in the mouth. You could expand it and probably do it, but we're going to try to do this and just let the natural pressure of the mouth put the teeth in position. And it does, it really does. Okay, excuse me. Now we'll go look at the x-rays. Now when I took this x-ray in 1973, you see, I could see what a real problem I was up against. The cuspid here is right straight over the root of the permanent lateral. Now that lateral is either on the front of the cuspid or behind it. Almost certainly the lateral root was behind the cuspid. The cuspid is kind of coming in front of the lateral out here. And the same thing over here, except it just wasn't as far over. Now here it's right, actually it's over to the medial side of the lateral root right there. Now getting to move this cuspid back into here is going to be a real problem. But I'm going to use follicular pressure now to guide this cuspid back over into this position. And you wonder, how in the heck are you going to do that? All right, look at the follicle around this cuspid right up here. See, now when it came in contact with this area here, it flattened the follicle out. It flattens it over here. Now, so watch what happens just a few months after we take this bicuspid out right in here. Now, you see this deciduous cuspid we had sliced before, and there's the zinc oxide portion that we packed in there. We did thousands of these teeth. I've never had one of them blow up. If you just pack that material in there, that's been in there for a couple of years anyway. So we see that that's what we're planning to do now. So take these teeth out. Now, I want you to watch very carefully what's going to happen when we remove the first bicuspids in there. So I'm going to go to the next panorex. Nope. Go back the other direction, I'm sorry. We'll go to the next panorex. Now, this cuspid has kind of changed angles. It was over on this side, now it's moved over this way. This cuspid has opened up a space there. This is trying to open a space here. This one is here. Let's go back and look at the way it was prior to this. Now see where those cuspids are. You see the upper on the left and the right, and where these teeth are jammed up against this right here. And when we take that tooth out, it moves away. In other words, that follicle assumes a round position and it moves. And this follicle rounded out over here and pushed this crown away from where it was up here. It slid off the side. And this one opened up here. This one has opened some. This one's opened quite good. And now let's see what happens in another period of time here. I know a couple of 3 months or something happened in here. We'll see what the time is. I don't remember exactly. Now watch this cuspid right here. Watch where it goes. And I do the next deal. Now look at it. This cuspid moved completely off and got it over in between, put it right in space. And that was done by utilizing follicular pressure that's around the teeth. This kind of a round ball, your cuspids or these crowns are inside a kind of a balloon filled with moisture or water or some kind of liquid, you see. And when you take the pressure off of one side, the balloon will assume a round position, and this moves the crown of the tooth, and that moves that over. And this is what I start calling it follicular pressure and follicular movement of the teeth, and it moves the teeth over. Now we're going to watch it for another period of time. This is much better, and I'm watching this young lady, and I haven't put one thing as far as orthodontic appliances in her mouth at all. We just are using nature's pressure. In other words, she functions correctly. She breathes correctly, swallows correctly, and holds her lips together. And the tongue shoves the teeth up. It pushes from this side, the lip catches it over here, and the teeth line up in this space right here. And you don't need any kind of retention if you've got the teeth in this neutral zone. And that's what's happened on this case. I've never used any retention in this. Alright, let's look at it now a little further down the line. And it went to this position right here. Haven't touched it with any orthodontic appliances. No lingual arches or anything. Just she's got a couple of fillings. 4 fillings in there. And now, having sacrificed the first bicuspid in here, we sacrificed the first bicuspid right through this area. These teeth have moved forward. What space they could spare, and the rest of this is lined up good. And now the teeth have moved further forward, and we will have room enough at the end. I don't think I have a picture of it, but the wisdom teeth have room to come in the mouth like that. Now that is utilizing follicular pressure by taking away the hard stuff on one side, the balloon around the tooth assumes a round position, moving the tooth over, and I got these cuspids to come in back behind the laterals and come in, and this becomes a serial extraction case instead of a very difficult expansion case. And yet her profile is just about that of her mother's that I'm going to show you that we finished up with later on. And this is the case in 1977, and we started out seeing this young lady in 1971, if you remember correctly, and it's gone to this point right here. And in several years, but you're just looking at the case and watching it and knowing what to do and when to do it. And that's where a lot of people do not understand. There's been no retention on any of this. Here it is in 1986, and the lower wisdom teeth, this one looks like it's practically in, and I think this one will come in. And if I remember correctly, all of them came in, and we had sacrificed a bicuspid to get those wisdom, give room enough for the wisdom teeth. Now, you weren't guaranteed you were going to have room for the wisdom teeth, but that worked out that way. And here, whoa, something has happened here. Apparently there wasn't sufficient room back here, so we had to send her in and get these teeth, the wisdom teeth, taken out. And up above, she's still got the teeth, so I apologize. We did not get sufficient room, but we almost did. A lot of these cases we do get sufficient room, so we have wisdom teeth. And now we have got no retention. Why do we not need any retention? The tongue is making the retention back here, and the lips and cheeks are doing it from the outside. She has no deleterious habits, and so her teeth are staying like that. That force put these teeth here, and that is where really they ought to be. Now it's going to be a little bit flat face for some of you. I don't know, but it looks quite good. Now here is the case in 1990. There's the profile. That's where the teeth are. There's been no retention on this case whatsoever. Not any orthodontic appliances in any way. We did take out the lower wisdom teeth. I'm sorry, I was thinking if they hadn't been, I really should have looked at the last part of it. It's been a good many years since I did this case, but it worked out great. Her upper wisdom teeth probably not going to have rooms when they come in, they can be extracted too, but Anyway, you'll keep them in case she gets a bad tooth up here. And you can take that and move it forward into that space. You do that all the time now. Right here it is. This was 1977, and this hadn't erupted together good over on this side, but the midline is off. I didn't do anything to kind of help the midline. There's probably some tooth size discrepancy, and this is 1990. It's still the midline is off, but the teeth seem to be socked in pretty good, pretty much on both sides. And this is 1986. Yeah, it's 86. And we really have a decent set of teeth here. Now she's going to probably need some crown or something like that on that tooth. That filling discolored right there can go in and put some real good composite filling in that, and it'll probably work out pretty good. Now it's gotten in a good class 1 relation. The depth of bite, everything is good. That's no braces, no retention. By letting the body take care of itself. In other words, the lips held in here. Somebody feel that looks pretty good now. And the lips held this, and the tongue is pushing from behind in normal function. So if you get somebody for serial extraction, you want them to be normally functioning, and you would like for them to be a little bit fuller than this to have it come out good, and like for them to be pretty crowded, and that kind of helps. But you frequently are able to save wisdom teeth when you do bicuspids like that. And here it is again. That's 77 and 77. That's 86. That's about 9 years later. The teeth are kind of closing together. Let's see. That's 1990. Now there's a little relapse right in here. Something's not meeting this right up there. 1977. This cuspid is kind of turned. You don't have a lot of round teeth to make them straighten out in there. Cuspids or bicuspids. So you have a little problem with rotations of them. Let's see now. That's 86. And there's 90. But that's staying pretty much like it originally was. It's not perfect, but we've never done anything orthodontically other than guide and directed the teeth that were coming in. And we can do that as well as I can. You need the little experience. So that tooth, there's a slight crossbite in 1990, but not a great deal. A little bit on this side also. And the facial structure is a little flat for some people's taste, but pretty straight down like this. Yeah, maybe you would like for it to be a lot fuller, then you'd have to spend a lot of time expanding that case to get it out. This was done with absolutely nothing orthodontically put in her mouth other than just going in there and taking the teeth out and doing that production. This is the mother's profile. It's almost the same, not really. She may be a little fuller, but not much. And so, I think this is the last picture on that, so I'll go back to the little young lady. And very nice young lady, and this is totally done without any appliances whatsoever. is retained without any appliances. It's just using follicular force along with serial extraction to guide these teeth into place. And I hope you will get something from this. I thank you for watching, and I'm going to hush here and let this pass this on. We'll get it on the road here. Thank you a lot now. Good evening. Bye-bye.